Hello everyone, we're back with round 3 of the Lebanese Chess Championships. So let's get this show on the road. So we have the two Mahmouds duking it out. And they start off with some kind of symmetrical position. Not sure what we'll call this. Let's call this a kind of symmetrical Catalan, I guess. It's not technically a Catalan as of yet. And it never really gets to be a Catalan. Something a bit about the players. They're both very positional players and they both like fianchettoing their bishops. So let's see how this game proceeds. Knight bd2. A bit of passive move. Of course, you can go back to some sort of Catalanish stuff with c4, and this may be considered some kind of Grunfeld setup against the Catalan. But instead he goes knight bd2, really perhaps trying to play e4 at some point. And now knight c6, it's of course probably easier to play c5 to equalize and then knight c6. This is the common idea in these queen pawn openings, to play the c pawn before you play the knight here, because if you play the knight as was done in the game, your c pawn cannot contribute pressure here. But of course knight c6 is a fine move anyway. It's not that it's a bad move, but more incisive is probably c5. So instead c5 here is more incisive. Of course you don't lose the pawn, just so we're clear, you can always easily recover this pawn with many moves, with this. It's just, and of course white is never going to hold on to the pawn because that would be quite dumb. Anyway, back to the game. So knight c6 was played, and here was again an opportunity to play c4 and get into some kind of normal position again. But these two players are very positional, but it's a bit kind of meek the way they're playing here. But of course it's completely fine. I don't want to be too critical here just because I'm a more aggressive player. Anyway, so c3 was played here, and a5. That's a quite smart positional move, blocking b4, which might be relevant at some point, and also preparing this kind of a4 a3 stuff, which would really break apart white's queenside pawn structure. This is something, an idea Magnus Carlsen likes to play, a5 and a4, these kinds of pawn breaks or pawn pushes on the queen side. So a4 is played, stopping a5, and now rook b8, insisting he wants to play b5 at some point, and this does come into play a bit. He goes rook e1, again preparing e4, h6, intending after e4 so that the bishop doesn't come to g5. e4 is played, takes, and now this was a bit premature, I thought, this e4 idea. Maybe he should have held off on it a bit. Not really sure, maybe just play h3 and see what happens, but then he gets bishop f5, but you can always play knight h4. So not really sure here. But e4, it allows black to easily equalize with e5. e5 is very strong because the queen is pinned. I cannot take here because bye queen. So d5 must be played, and now a smart move making use of the spin. Again, remember the spin. But here of course white has a cute tactic to try to make use of the fact that the pin will be undone if this rook is connected to this queen. So that's exactly what he could have done. So he plays bishop takes h6, and here bishop takes d5, takes. You could probably insert here and then here, and then these trades are leading nowhere as well. This is just an equal position. Why would white be any better? Maybe white can be better if he gets this knight to c4 or something. Probably I'd prefer to play white in this equal position, but it shouldn't be much. But Abdelaziz did not go into this more forcing but endgame-ish type of line. He went for complications with bishop f5, rook e1, and now bishop e6 back. A bit of a strange move, but it's completely fine, because the bishop might get some nice squares over here. So queen e2 is played. Again, a very normal move, maybe perhaps putting some pressure here. The queen really has no better squares. If it goes here, there's always bishop f5. If it goes, if it goes here, there's always taking. Whoops, I did not. Oh, never mind. Okay, so bishop e6, queen e2, and rook e8, kind of counteracting this queen. You might think there are like two pieces in the way of this queen and rook Western face-off kind of that's going on here, but yeah, it's not really. These two pieces will easily go out of the way. So just as a general rule, don't put your queen on the same file as the rook. That's a very general principle. That's almost always true, I think. Even if there are so many pawns, or even if there are like 4 pieces on the e file, they can easily just disappear quickly, and you'll find yourself in a problematic situation. Okay, so now Maserani initiates a rather yeah, it's a rather what words do I want to use? It's a rather very kind of direct play that's really not warranted. It's a very hasty type of play. Usually he's very patient, so I don't know why he played this. You can play patient moves like bishop f4, follow it up with h4, queen d2, maybe even double on the on the e file. Yeah, but he instead played knight e5, liquidating everything. Just liquidates, and queen c8 is a very smart move, preparing rook d8 and potentially preparing this bishop h3. So yeah, I don't like this decision to immediately trade with knight e5. Instead, much better with bishop f4. Okay, now white could have had an advantage with bishop f4, but instead he misplays this, and now he's equal. And now if we take a look, if we go forward a bit, these are just normal moves. White gets developed, attacks some pieces, and now here, this is an equal position, and suddenly white loses a pawn due to a very strange tactic that I've never really seen much of anything like it. And I guess that's why Mr. Maserani blundered this. So bishop d5 here, just kick out the queen from this active post that it's on, and just make it go back, for example, and play queen c4, and here white should be okay, maybe even have a slight advantage. But instead he plays bishop d4, and credits to Abdelaziz, he found a really nice tactic here basically. Yeah, let's watch it. So you attack the rook. Okay, where is Mr. Rook going to go? He goes to d2, only sensible square. I guess you could go c1, that's another sensible square, but okay, he maybe wants to play here. But he goes here, and what's the point? The queen is trapped, believe it or not. If whoops yeah, not this. If let's say you try to play this to defend, bishop c4 will not only be a fork, but it will also trap the queen. GG queen. So I think he was forced to play bishop e4, and now here comes taking the pawn. The pawn cannot be defended and at the same time defending the queen, so you can't do both of these simultaneously. So he lost the pawn. Tragic. And yeah, the game continues a bit. Queen trade, and yeah, let's keep going. I mean, this is a simple pawn up position. I guess black should be technically winning, but maybe white here had some drawing chances, maybe like with bishop d2, for example, preparing b4, because white kind of sat passively here. He played f5. Actually, he started playing passively a bit later. Okay, this is fine. f5 is fine. Let's keep going. This is also fine. He's doing something. And here, instead of bishop d4, perhaps he should have played king f3 so that f5 doesn't come with check. And let's say f5 is played here. Maybe he can play this b4. Again, you want to trade pawns here. The more pawns you trade, the closer to a draw you can get. Because if you imagine, like, we have 4 pawns here, right? And black has 5 pawns, so 5 against 4. If we reduce it to 1 versus 0, that's an easy draw, because I can always sacrifice 1 bishop for the pawn, and a bishop against 2 bishops would be a draw. So yeah, that's why I want to trade more pawns. Instead he goes bishop d4, putting the bishop on an active post, I guess, blocking bishop f6, but he goes into this check, and yeah, he allows the c5 stuff, and yeah, it's not clear what to do here. I'll just show you the rest of the game. This is just tragic. He has no way to defend this position. Yeah, now Abdelaziz is up 2 pawns, and yeah, this is an easy win, and he resigns. So I think Masarani played a bit passively in this game. We can sum it up as that. And this kind of passive play led to an equal position in which he just blundered. A crazy tactic to be sure, but it was a blunder. Okay, which game do we go to now? Let's go to the Habash game. It was quite interesting actually. Let me see how I'm doing on time. Okay, 10 minutes. Yeah, I think this video will be like 50 minutes probably. It's a bit more richer than the others. Okay, we have a Scandinavian here with a Marshall variation actually. Actually, it's not called the Marshall just yet. No, it is. Let me check the openings. It is the Marshall, right? No, it's the modern, and now it becomes the Marshall. Takes, yeah, this is the Marshall. Yeah, and this. Let's see what was played. This line, what can I say about it? It's a very tricky line, but of course white should be better, much better probably. But yeah, it's a very tricky line that you very rarely see. If someone plays the Scandinavian, after e takes d5, they usually just take with the queen. It's rare to see knight f6. And those who play knight f6 usually play the Portuguese variation. But the modern Marshall, that's rather rare. But yeah, it does of course occur. So what can I say about it? Yeah, it's just tricky. And of course Tariq is the king of tricky openings, and actually this is a variation he in general almost plays everything, but this is a variation he more often plays. Like even people who play every single opening under the sun, they also have this this kind of opening they fall back to. Yeah, Tariq basically almost plays everything under the sun. He plays the Owens, he plays the Nimzovich, he plays e4, e5, he plays the Sicilian, he plays everything. Actually, I think the Sicilian is a rarer guest, probably because of the theory, but yeah, he plays everything. Okay, even Caro-Kann, French, yeah. Okay, so bishop g4 was played here. Okay, I have a bit of variation here I'll talk about later. Okay, so c5, this is the principled move, kicking this knight, kind of limiting it to this square. And here the best line, or we can probably say, no, I don't want to be so absolutist. It's one of the really good lines I found. Bishop e2, knight c6, bishop e3, and of course e5. You prepare that, and now you can simply castle because if e takes d4, knight takes d4, and this bishop is hanging, so it must commit to something. It takes, and we take here, and black is behind the development. Bishop g5 check is a threat to winning the queen, and this position should be much better for white. Of course, here don't play bishop g5 check because hello. Yeah, so that's the best move here. I think is probably bishop e2, and in this case, instead of after castles, instead of e takes d4, which would be really bad for black, I think, but there is bishop e7 keeping the position solid. And yeah, here you can continue with any normal move. Queen b3 comes to mind, which we will see in the game. Yeah, and of course taking is an idea, taking here, whatever. It's just a game, but this is the best theoretical thing, I think. Instead, he played queen b3. Now, that's the line I want to show you guys. So here, after, I think g6 is a better move than bishop g4, because it really puts pressure on this pawn combined with this, and then later bishop g4. Yeah, anyway, g6, and now if we play this, now I've seen queen b3. I've seen this line. It's not very common, but yeah, I've seen it. The point is to, of course, attack b7 and put pressure on f7 as well with these ideas. Anyway, so bishop g4, c5, knight 6, d7, and now queen b3 is played. It maybe makes more sense because this pawn is hanging, but it turns out that in many lines, especially the one we will see in the game, the queen kind of gets sidetracked on the queen side and almost gets trapped. So yeah, queen b3 actually, when the bishop moves out of the way, maybe it's not such a smart idea. Maybe it's better to play it in this line where the bishop remains on c8. Counterintuitive, I know, but yeah, just some small theoretical discussion on the Scandinavian modern variation, martial variation. Yeah, this is an opening you'll be seeing a lot. Now, you won't see it a lot, but you know, when it comes up, it's useful to know this bit of theory, because you can really outplay your opponent. Especially, yeah, these kinds of openings, if you know just a bit of theory, and it becomes really tough to play as black. Anyway, knight 6 d7, queen b3, knight c6, very principled, attacking d4, bishop e3, defending d4. We don't want to see bishop takes and knight takes, of course, if you play a normal move. Thank you, Beaku, for the pawn. Of course, I know how to pronounce French. It's beaucoup, but I'm just joking. Okay, guys. Okay, so bishop e3 takes anyway, and now the point is revealed. Tadumdish, tadumdish, tadumdish. Okay, here there are some very interesting lines which were kind of missed, I guess. So let me start with them. Okay, he played bishop c4, which is not very accurate. Instead, queen takes b7. Okay, attacking the knight. Only way for the knight to get out of the way and win something is to take here. You take back, takes, and now bishop h3 is a rather cute move. Now, yeah, I checked this with an engine, and it apparently gives zeros here. The point is that after f5, bishop takes f5, knight takes, check, and king f7. This is supposed to be an equal position. But yeah, I think I'd much rather play white in this position. Although, you know, it's not so easy. If you play knight d2, maybe black starts having some fun with queen f6 or queen e7. Yeah, maybe it's not as easy, but queen f7... No, queen e7 is check. Never. Yeah, so it's very complicated. I don't know. But probably I'd prefer playing white. By the way, here, if knight takes c5 is played, here the point of bishop h3 is revealed. You really can't go back, so you have to play this, and I just take the knight. Thank you very much. You can't go back because checky and checky. So yeah. So here queen takes b7 was a way to get a rather weird position. But it's basically equal, or if black makes a mistake, which I doubt a 2000 rated player will make. Yeah, it could be bad. But anyway, queen takes b7 was not played. Instead, bishop c4, and now queen f6. Now this is perhaps not the best move, and we'll see why. Instead, bishop e7, and you know, just taking here, and knight c3. You do give up this pawn, but what's the point? You're going to regain the pawn immediately. Yeah, I know this seems like a rather weird variation of course, after takes, we have takes here. And yeah, okay. Actually, wait, do we have takes here? God, I didn't check this. Let me check this briefly with an engine. If the engine will load, it's not loading. Ah, we play bishop h5, threatening mate. Queen takes b7 is a very stupid move, yeah. That's a terrible move. Okay. And g6, okay. Yeah, this is rather crazy. Forget about it. Okay, queen f6, and now bishop d5. Now bishop d5 is actually a very bad move. The only way forward was this, which is also rather crazy, but you know, this is easy to calculate. And now you can take, and apparently this should be a draw. Well, here black can force the draw if they really... Whoops! If they really wanted to lose. Yeah, if they really wanted to force a draw, they can force it. Yeah, this is all nothing. So white probably had to accept they should have the draw. A lot of opening discussion here, but it's very important because, you know, queen b3 is just a poor move, I think. Nah, not poor, but yeah, it just leads to an equal position. Here instead, as we said, we should play bishop e2, bishop e3, and go from there. Yeah, instead queen b3, you know, knight c6, bishop e3, and now with e5, this position, white should probably force a draw, or black should force a draw, something like that. It's just equal, or yeah, it's equal. And if you force the lines, it becomes a draw, of course. But here this, and now bishop d5. Now why is this a poor move? Well, a very simple move, a bit crazy, but it's simple, is not e takes d4, which was played in the game, but castles. Castles would have won. I'm not kidding here. It would have won. Why would it have won? Well, takes, and now this rook is going to crush this king. It's as simple as that. Yeah, very counterintuitive. By the way, you could take on c6 here, but then you have to face complications with this move. Queen a6, black should still be better, but much better is simply taking. I know, Swiss cheese and all of that, yeah, that seems bad, but something like queen a4 is not enough. For example, takes, you take back, and now takes here. Hello. You castle maybe, thank you very much. I sack my not sack, I take the pawn, and now for example here, and rook g6 is coming. This is tragic. So yeah, castles is just too strong. White's pawns in the center will crumble. White's knight is far away from developing. White is far away from castling, and due to this knight being here, white is far away from connecting his rooks. So yeah, this would have been quite bad had Tariq found this, but no, he did not. Okay, so taking was played, and yeah, queen takes b7, rook b8, and now a very strange decision. I don't get why he didn't take. I guess, yeah, the endgame is actually quite bad, but the line he played is basically losing. The endgame in here, of course, this forced sequence, you're down 7 billion pawns. Okay, to be fair, it's only one pawn actually. Yeah, but yeah, you don't want to be playing this position, of course. Bishop takes c5, king e2. Yeah, of course, don't take here. I was just thinking in my head, why not? But yeah, that would be tragic. Instead, he played queen takes c7, and yeah, this simply loses due to knight ce5, which Tariq did not find. Maybe he was afraid of c6, and if you, for example, move the knight here, of course I take your rook, but you're not forced to move your knight, right? You can just take. And let's say I take back, you play bishop d6. And yeah, this position is basically gonzo. I can probably play knight d3 check. Okay, this knight is knight d3 check. Let's check with the engine briefly. It says, oh, bishop b4 check. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. The rook is here. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. When you get into analysis mode, you really don't consider some easy stuff. Anyway, so d takes e3, and yeah, this becomes actually just d takes e3 again is a bad move by black. I don't blame the players, by the way. This is a very complicated position, and this is my analysis aided by an engine, so of course we're going to get to the truth of the position, but they're playing over the board with masks on, so of course it's very difficult. Yeah, so he takes here, takes, and now this is a big nasty pin. It's amazing how Tariq escaped with little damage over here. Actually, here he could have just won with this move. The point is, this is an eternal pin, so why rush? I don't get why he rushed. Yeah, and at any point this check could be coming, followed by this. Of course, we won't play it right away because that would be problematic. We'd get hit with queen e1, which might still be fine after queen g2, king g2, but yeah, you get my point. So I just get my rook here, and it's GG. If black wants to castle, they have to give up the pawn, the piece. And yeah, this is just a piece up position for white. Instead, he got hasty and took here, and yeah, this is just a mass trade eventually. Yeah, this endgame. White should be better in this endgame, and he had winning chances, but not to be. The game ends up being a draw. Now let me go back. Actually, we'll do this at the end. Let's see the game till its end, and we'll go back. Okay, so this happened. King takes f2. Yeah, all very normal moves, very good moves by white, by the way. Here black should have sought counterplay with a5, rook b8, and get some counterplay on the queenside pawns. Instead, he kind of let white just have some fun with the queenside pawns. Rook d1 is a very nice move. If you take, I take here, and the rook endgame is easier to play for white because they have all of these passed pawns. With the bishop, at least this bishop on an open board, it's stronger than this knight, so that's why you need to keep the bishops on the board. So bishop e5 is a wise decision by Tariq. Okay, so we play knight d6 here, and yeah, just going through this a bit quickly. By the way, knight d4 check, a bit difficult to see why this wins, but it wins. Any move to the 7th rank, both of these would be met by rook h1 and rook h1 here. So thank you for this pawn, basically a skewer. And after knight d4 check, the only other sensible square is king d5. And here, after this series of checks, we try to trap the bishop. g5 is the only way for the bishop to escape. I guess rook takes c2 check would be another way, but that's of course losing. So g5, and now just we check and we take the free pawn. We check here to kind of get the king out of the way, get it further away from the center. And yeah, this should be winning. But okay, difficult to see knight d4 check calculate all of these variations. He had to see many ideas. Instead he plays knight d6, rook e6. I think, by the way, here Habash was on seconds, on mere seconds. He was playing on the increment, so I don't blame him at all for not winning this. Yeah, and we keep going here, and now just at this point, after b6, the game is basically a draw. Tariq finds the best defense. Rook d1 check is the best way forward. The king has to go up, and now you push the pawn, and you keep pushing. And when this comes about, you try to promote it. Rook e8, trying to stop the promotion. By the way, this bishop, for good by sheer luck, it's protecting the b8 square. Not luck, but you know, it's lucky that it's protecting the b8 square. But it's good that it's doing its job. Yeah, but white still has a way to win. He plays rook b6 check, and now just goes out of the way, preparing the c6. Rook a6 is designed to prepare rook a8 as well. And yeah, this would be a way to win. For example, black really doesn't have anything to do. If they start pushing their kingside pawns, we have a check. You'd think I want to take this, but no sir. If you go here, thank you. And otherwise, wherever you go, there's going to be some sort of problem. Even if you go here, I can go here and ask your rook, where are you going, buddy? Goes out of the way. Thank you very much. I promote, and it's GGO. So yeah, that was the way to win. Very difficult to see though. I don't blame him. Instead, he plays b6, which seemingly does win, but g4 is a very smart liquidation attempt. Of course, you can't take because GG. Actually, is it winning for black? I don't know, probably not. Yeah, but anyway, so b7 was played, and yeah, this is just a draw. It's impossible to keep your pawns together, and they eventually draw this game. So let's go forward. Yeah, so the opening was misplayed by both players for good reason, though. It was a very, very complicated opening. The graph looked something like this. And what else? Yeah, in the end game, Habash had some chances. I wanted to cough, and that's why the sound came out like that. Yeah, Habash had some chances, but yeah, he was playing on the increment. Tough. Okay. Yeah, let me go through the inflection points, kind of, just so that we can remember. So here, bishop g4, maybe g6 was better. Queen b3. I did recommend bishop e2 as a better theoretical move. And in this line, bishop c4, I did recommend queen takes b7 instead. And here, I did recommend bishop e7 instead, going for a weird kind of setup where you drop a pawn with check. But okay, queen f6 may be fine. Bishop d5 though, I recommended bishop takes f7 check. Bishop d5 is bad for white. And here, black should have castled. This is not a good idea. And here, queen takes b7 is also wrong. Or, yeah, queen takes b7. No, it's not so wrong, but yeah. He takes here, which is another weird move. He should have taken c6. Yeah, takes c7. And now at ce5 would have won, but instead he takes here. And now white is winning. But here bishop takes d7 check, not good. He should have played knight e4 and maintained the pin. And I think I have arrows here. Yeah, I have arrows for what should have happened. And here black should have tried for counterplay with a5. And here white had a winning attempt with knight d4 check. And here white had a win with rook d1 check. And that's it. So very complicated game. It already took 20 minutes. Yeah, this will be a very long video, I think. Okay, where do we go to now? Let's go to the Sire game. It was a bit of a shorter affair. Yeah, Sire, he plays against the King's Indian defense. This is the king, not yet. This is the King's Indian defense. He plays the 4 pawns attack, which is a rather rare variation, and it's black has proven basically a draw in this variation. Yeah, so let's see what happened in the game. So not a draw, but you know, black, I think new life is being sprung into this opening, but black is basically fine. It's set, so it's not a dangerous weapon any longer. So c5 is a very good idea, just breaking up the center, making use of your bish. Instead, white played knight f3 here, which is not so accurate. Instead, he should have tried d5, and then there are complications with this e6 idea later on. And yeah, we're not going to go into the main line. Instead, he played knight f3, and after takes, and this is just some weird kind of dragon, right? Yeah, and it's probably a bit better for black. So he plays knight c2. Wise idea, I think, not trading. Maybe perhaps knight e3 at some point. No, that's not a good idea. But yeah, just not trading. Here, black could have played knight d7. He does play knight d7 after castling, but maybe before castling, just ask white some questions before you castle. Okay, but castling is of course fine. He plays bishop e2, and now knight d7, bishop e3. And here an improvement was perhaps knight c5, just asking some important questions on this pawn. Maybe I'll take and take here. Yeah, I do give up the bishop, this dark squared bishop, but these ideas are not so bad because this pawn structure with these pawns as such, it's very bad. So yeah, knight c5 would have asked important questions. Instead he went queen a5, and now castle, sensible option, and now knight c5. Again, you could have tried this and knight c5. Now you don't take here, which is also fine, I guess. But I mean, knight c5, you're going to take here anyway, and you're also attacking this pawn more importantly. It's this pawn is of course more important than this one. A central pawn is more important than a c pawn is not exactly a flank pawn, but it's an extended center pawn. So a center pawn is more important than an extended center pawn. Yeah, so that could have been tried. Anyway, he goes knight c5, knight d4 now, and bishop d7, a3. White actually, believe it or not, had an opportunity to get the advantage here with knight b3. The point, well, you have to retreat. I'll show you why you can't really take here, because after takes, again, you have to retreat. If you play queen b4, thank you for the queen. The queen is trapped. Yeah. So queen d8, and here queen d2, and white is just better here. He has these pawns. You might think they're bad, but look at this guy. It's doing some nice pressure. It's exerting some nice pressure. And these pawns can at any point push or push like that. And yeah, and white has good control of d4. Knight can jump to d5. It's just a better position for white. After knight b3, there's of course queen d8. And here we just win a pawn. Takes. Now the complications don't end here. We have queen a5, seemingly double attack, right? But there's a way to get out of it. We take here because we have an attack of our own. So he takes and we take here. And now there's this check. You could of course take on c3. That's not a bad idea. But there's maybe a more clever way to do that, which is through this route. And now we just trade these knights. I block here so that you don't take with the bishop perhaps. So yeah, I play here and you take, I take here. And this is an opposite colored bishop position, but white is up a pawn and he has perhaps some pressure over here. So white should be better, much better, maybe even winning. Too strong a word, but better. Instead he played a3, and this blunders an exchange. Yeah, the b3 square, remember that square. So of course here this would blunder the exchange as such. Yeah, and the exchange would be lost. So instead he decides, Elias decides to insert b4, which is clever. but it won't really so at least he kind of gained the tempo by playing b4 and making the queen retreat. Of course that's smarter than just letting the fork happen, but of course here he's down exchange. Surprisingly, the position is not so easy for black though. And after this series of moves, by the way, here, yeah, you don't really want to take in general, but this is just a pawn in my opinion, so you could have done that. I guess he was afraid of these kind of ideas and stuff like that, but yeah, it's not really working. But yeah, to be honest, in the game I would have played bishop d7 as well, no fault there. Rook f1, and suddenly here, after knight c3, white is fine. Fine is a bit, black is better, not much better, but yeah, it's possible to play this on. Maybe you won't lose immediately, maybe you won't even lose as white, but instead he thinks he sees a tactic, but it's not working. He does the following, and now if I go here, the point is this, and it's checkmate. Unfortunately, he did not see that this happens, and yeah, Samer wins the game. Yeah, that's not enough. Still this, still that. So yeah, tragic for Elias, but to be honest, he played a questionable variation. Well, not inside of the the four pawns King's Indian defense. It's not questionable. It's just a bit on the fringes of theory, but the way he played it was a bit questionable. So yeah, and he continued a bit. Some inaccuracies, and yeah, Samer deservedly won the game. So let's move on. Which game are you going to go to? You guys, by the way, I'm saying this in at half of the video, but you guys might have noticed I have 2 games. It's because I want to show the engine evaluations, because Dr. 1000 IQ requested it. So yeah. Let's go to the Salman game. Yeah, why not? Yep. Okay. So Joe, the Dutch defender, he plays the English defense here, but it kind of morphs into a Dutch, and now Salman plays knight f3. e4 is an alternative, and a3. They're much better theoretical tries than knight f3, but knight f3 is just a way, I guess, to get an equal game. So bishop b7, knight c3. Again, here a3 is a possibility. Why is this a3 so important? Just to block bishop b4 check, and you're able to kind of do this thingamajig. I've actually prepared a lot one time, last year actually. Yeah, I prepared the English defense a lot, and I played it in my first game against Siam Mahdi Kaouri, and he played a weird line in the English defense, and I was out of book, and I just played like a nincompoop and lost in a tragic way. So yeah, this opening kind of has some tough memories in my heart. No, but I love it actually. I should play it more in Blitz. Yeah. Anyway, so let's go forward. Yeah, so bishop b4. Yeah, this isn't, by the way, a Queen's Indian defense, not yet at least, and doesn't transpose. It's the English defense. Queen c2, bishop g5 are alternatives. I like queen c2 more personally. Just kind of control the e4 square. Again, these are just opening suggestions though. e3, I think this is a bit too passive. f5, Joe makes this kind of a Dutch, right? Yeah, Joe, of course, is a big defender of the Dutch defense. If you guys can check out my channel, Joe Assad Dutch, you'll find a lot of stuff on there. A lot of content about that. Okay, so he plays queen c2, again another alternative. He instead plays bishop d3, knight f6. Again, bishop d2 is another alternative. I like this because this bishop d2 stuff, it's been gaining popularity against the Nimzo Indian defense, and this is something Kramnik and Carlsen have made popular. This bishop d2 against the Nimzo Indian. So yeah, just another consideration. By the way, this position is a bit reminiscent of the Nimzo Indian, and it actually becomes reminiscent of the Hubner variation of the Nimzo Indian. We'll take a look at that later. So queen b3, attacking the bishop, and now a5. Very smart move, and actually this is something Joe knows very well. A3 is tried. I guess castles can be tried as well, but okay, a3, just asking the bishop, where are you going? It's not going. Now, why is this bishop not hanging? Well, this is one of Joe's favorite traps, I think. He tried to do it once against Zubov. He actually won. Zubov did not fall for it, but Joe actually beat Zubov in the bullet game in this line. Not this exact line. I think he didn't have his knight developed, maybe, but it was something similar. So he did something like this, and Zubov went queen c2, as did Silman in this game. Yeah, queen takes b4 would lose the queen. Knight c6, where's your only square? b5, and thank you very much for the queen. You do get some compensation, but it's not enough. Yeah, so queen c2 is played, takes, castles, and now knight d2. Now this formation after e4, it's going to be basically the Hubner variation in the Nimzo-Indian defense. There are a lot of articles on this pawn structure. I think Jeremy Silman wrote a very nice article on the Hubner variation of the Nimzo-Indian. Yes, I'm pretty sure. You guys should check that out. Anyway, so knight d2 was tried. Now, Silman, I think he really wants to play e4, so he plays this knight d2, but this pawn can simply be taken. Joe is a very principled player. He doesn't like taking unnecessary risks. As you can see from his opening choice, he likes taking risks, but not unnecessary risks. And this would be an unnecessary risk in Joe's book. I know Joe wouldn't go for these ideas, and he does not go for it. But here really I don't see the compensation. If you play bishop b2 and want to castle long and start attacking black, well, I'm going to show you a line that really asks the question. And the question is, who's attacking whom? Yeah, this variation, you can see black just keeps, like knight g4, it attacks the pawn with a nasty fork, kind of a fork. Yeah, and knight a5 again with threats, and maybe this bishop will get here or something. Yeah, so it's just an open question, who's attacking whom, and I think white is under big pressure. So knight d2 he should have taken. Instead he plays king h8. Instead of knight d2, Silman should have just castled. I guess he was a bit afraid of this bishop and stuff like that, but it's not really warranted. Of course, bishop takes f3 is not really a concern. We take back, and we can always play even something like this, and we're quite happy. Yeah, so, but okay, Joe is a principled player. He plays king h8. Sorry. He should have castled against Silman, but he plays e4. Yeah, he had this problem in round 2 against Najjar. He did not castle, instead opening up the center. Now this isn't a huge issue here. Actually it is. Yeah, I have a line where it is. Yeah, so yeah, this is I think another instance of Silman falling for that. Here f takes e4, takes, and knight c6, and you can see from the arrows the rook comes to f5, the queen comes to f6, the rook comes to f8. We have a lot of pressure here. This knight can always make use of this a5 b3 route. A5 attacks c4. This bishop is a tragic piece. It really does not do anything. Its best bet is to defend on e3 the f2 pawn with from these 3 pieces. So yeah, it's a tragic position, this one. Instead, Joe goes for knight g4, just going for some king side attack. And yeah, okay, I think white should be fine here. Maybe even better. Yeah, probably better. But yeah, f takes e4 would have been a way for black to basically almost win the game, to be honest. That position at the end of the line here, it's just ugh for black, for white. Yeah, so knight g4, castles, f4. And now knight f3. Nice move, blocking this f3 idea, blocking these queen excursion ideas. I think it's a fine move. Perhaps instead queen d1 could have been an idea, to just bring the queen back into the game, play this. You maybe want to defend as soon as possible, because white gets under a brutal kingside attack in the game, and that's how he loses. Yeah, but anyway, I was considering, by the way, e5. e5 as an option to try to trade off these bishops, but there's this crazy sacrifice, king takes g2 and queen g5, and this position I just label unclear because it's the complications are mind-bending. Probably black is better, or maybe it's about equal, but saying equal about a position like this where black just sacrifices a piece and has all of this attack, it's rather crazy. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe if you guys want, you can explore this position further, but we won't delve into this that deeply. So anyway, knight f3, d6, okay, normal move. You want to prepare knight d6, and now queen e2. Okay, it was already time for white to see queenside counterplay, because if he's just going to respond to black's threats on the king side, he's just going to lose. Black will keep attacking and keep attacking. White will try to defend, but it won't be enough if you don't have any counterplay and if your pieces are so bad. Instead, rook b1 should have been tried with the idea of playing c5, counteracting this bishop, preparing taking on c5, maybe even activating the rook, putting it on b1 where it can take a4, maybe b5 where it can swing over to h5. Yeah, but that wasn't played. Okay, knight d5, knight d7 maybe blocks c5, but you still play this anyway. D takes c5, and now you of course don't take. That would be quite silly because knight takes c5 is quite nice for black. Instead, you should play h3, kick the knight out, ask it where it's going. It goes back to h6. If knight g f6, we have knight g5 attacking this pawn, threatening a fork. If queen e7 defending, we have e5 and we're attacking h7. And if h6, for example, we can just take because we're attacking the queen. So that's not good. So instead of knight g f6, there's knight h6. And now bishop b5, attacking a4, and we can take the pawn. So yeah, I should seek counterplay as quickly as possible. Instead, queen e2, that's just defending. No sir. Knight d7, h3, knight h6. Okay, he's developing, but yeah, only defense. And now again, you have to play rook b1 to try to go for this idea at least. Yeah, you don't mind even sacrificing this pawn because it's just a doubled pawn. It's not really doing anything, and you want to liberate your forces, get this bishop doing something. You do have the bishop pair for what it's worth. By the way, why rook f b1 and not rook a b1? Excellent question. Well, rook f b1, while it might seem strange making this rook forever sidelined over here, you do get escape squares for your king if this kind of kingside attack, which did happen in the game, occurs. So rook f b1 I think would be a smarter move. Just a little intricacy. Yeah, so bishop c2, strange move. I guess he's trying to attack a4, but who cares about a4? He defends. Knight h2 is a good idea to gain access to this square here, and rook f b1 again should have been played. You get escape squares for your king, and you don't commit just yet. Committing to knight g4 is a bit strange because now the knight moves and h5 is coming, so you kind of lost the tempo with this knight g4. He plays rook a e1 and now just h5, knight h2, and yeah, black is completely winning here. Let's go forward a bit. Okay, g3, I have to say that's a brilliant defensive move. If takes, of course, he was banking on this, and otherwise he has taking here and perhaps taking and taking this. So yeah, I think that this was quite a nice move, but it's not enough, unfortunately, for Salman. Rook g7 was played, and now the best try for white to defend. Yeah, this was backed by engine analysis, by the way. In a human game, yeah, I don't blame him for what he did. Yeah, the engine finds this crazy line. Takes, and it gives this as the best way to defend. Going into the fork, but you get compensation in the form of this kind of stuff. And all the alternatives are losing even worse, so yeah. Yeah, but no human will play that. Okay, so I don't blame Salman at all for not going for this. He plays h4, and now the attack will be too strong. Watch how Joe masterfully conducts the attack, and now he sacrifices a piece, but obviously he is going to crash through. And maybe this at some point. Yeah, so f3, kind of trying to defend, but yeah, he just resigns here, and for good reason. So really, Salman defended too much in this game, and Joe just went on the attack. Yeah, almost There were some mistakes by Joe, but yeah, a very clean game, I would say. Yeah, okay, so let's take a look at the Eid game. Unfortunately, Eid is not finding a footing, and you guys, if you watched the first video, you'll see what I mean. Okay, let's just dive into the game. So e4, c5, knight f3. Are you seeing a pattern? You guys might be seeing a pattern. You guys remember the Eid Najjar game? This is almost the same game. And now Eid deviates. He plays bishop e2. In the Najjar game, he played bishop f3. He played f3. Okay, but still amounts to the same thing. He plays bishop e2, castles, and now queen d2, allowing d5. If you guys watched the first video of this series, you know what I'm talking about. Let's take a look at the second game. Against Najjar, same opening, right? And here he plays f3, but again queen d2, and he allows d5, and black is basically equal to slightly better here. No sir, not good. And if we go back, if I can click here. Yeah, so if I can click here. Yeah, and this is basically the same thing, but instead of f3, there's this bishop on e2, which kind of does the same thing as f3, which is kind of attacking g4, but yeah, this is just not good. So black equalizes because this is the hyper-accelerated dragon, and he's able to play d5 instead of playing d6. He's able to play d5 in one go, and d5 is said to be the equalizing move in the Sicilian. Yeah, so again, Wissam should fix this opening. What's tragic is that he's basically not getting a game. These two games, round 1 and round 3, yeah, he's just not getting a game out of the gates. Okay, takes, and now c4 should have been tried. Just keep this bishop solid, this knight solid. You could take here, and yeah, this should be better for black, but it's still a position. Instead of bishop takes d4, this would be bad. Not due to this, of course, because this would be quite silly. We're a piece up here. e6 does nothing. We just check. So bishop takes d4 would be a bad move for white because of queen takes d5. After I take you here, thank you very much. I'm attacking this. And if I castle, you just take, and you're up a pawn here. If you guys remember this position, opposite side castling, black is up a pawn. He takes on g2. But black is actually winning because this open file you might think is useful for white, but white really can't do anything. If you guys remember this, this is very similar to the Habash against Samir Salman game. You can find this game here. Something very similar occurred. White castle is long, and black takes on g2, and there's rook g1 really doesn't do anything. It's just fluff, and yeah, black is up a pawn here. Almost the exact same thing in the line in this Wissam Eid game. Whoops, this is the analysis. So the analysis is for Dr. 1000 IQ because he wants to see the graphs. Yeah, but instead Wissam plays this, and this is just losing. This is just losing. I want to show you guys, by the way, I didn't show you guys the variations in the opening. So f3 was what was tried against Najjar, not good either. Okay, here he had the option to play f4 instead of queen d2, and it would have still been an equal position. Knight b3 also would have led to an equal position. Instead, queen d2 allows d5, which is equalizing and even making the position slightly better for black. So yeah, not good. Okay, now we go into this fourth sequence that Wissam plays, and yeah, after rook e8, are you going to castle and lose your bishop? No, you aren't. So this is just lost. He tries to give up a pawn, but no. Akram is not interested in the pawn. Tries to make some kind of draw, but no. Akram is not interested in draw. And here he should have tried queen c3. Of course, queen takes g2, we castle, and bishop f5, bishop d3. Again, actually white is not up. White is not even down a pawn here. He could be down a pawn immediately with f2, but yeah, he's not. He won't be. But of course, this kind of pressure over here, this kind of pressure over here, this kind of possible pressure over here. Yeah, black is just doing splendidly here. But it's a better try than what was played in the game, because what was played in the game loses immediately. If after queen c3, by the way, an alternative to queen takes g2 is queen b5. And there's this funny dance of the queens, we can call it. You must give it check here, because if you go to h5 immediately, you will be a very sad person. So queen a5, yeah, and this actually yeah, I'm just showing this line quickly, you can take a look at it slowly, but yeah, I mean, what is this position? White is up a piece, but what? What is this king? Where will it find safety? What are these rooks? Completely crushing white. Yeah, this is just lost. This is just lost. Yeah, but maybe Akram wouldn't have found queen b5 and instead would have played queen takes g2. But yeah, this is also lost for white, but at least he can hold on. By the way, Akram said this was all preparation, so maybe he knows about queen f5. Queen b5. Yeah, but anyway, Wissam plays queen d3 and this just loses. Bishop f5. You go here. Takes. King d2. Rook c8. GG. Yeah, Wissam should find the fix to this hyper-accelerated dragon, because both actually Akram wasn't copying Najjar or anything. He has this as his main repertoire, the hyper-accelerated dragon. Yeah, but Wissam should find a fix for this, because he's just not playing a game. He's just losing out for the opening. At least round 2 he played the game, but yeah, Joe also he lost out of the opening as well. Round 2. Yeah, he needs to get out of the opening in one piece basically. Okay, so the Assis game, actually I didn't you know, there aren't a lot of variations because this was an almost perfect game. Not really, but I'll tell you what I mean in a second. Okay, so they play again. Najjar plays the dragon and Assis plays it slightly better than Wissam Eid in the first round. He plays this and yeah, bishop c4 is one of the lines. Queen a5 is one of Najjar's favorite lines against this bishop c4 line. I think more common than bishop c4, let me check, than queen a5, it's immediately castling, yeah. That's more common. I remember that queen a5 is the second most popular move, but yeah, Najjar goes for it. Yeah, so castles. This is all theory, by the way. I'm not really going to spend much time. Also, bishop g5 is theory, actually the top move. b6, top played move. Don't know the engine evaluations here. And bishop takes f6. Bishop takes f6 would be met by knight d5, queen e5. And this is supposed to be equal for black, I guess. c3 takes, and there are some hair-raising complications over here that we will not go into. Sorry guys. I think I'm already at an hour on this video, so I need to cut it short, yeah. Okay, so e takes f6 was played, and this is an inferior line because white is able to plonk a knight on d6 and get a brilliant positional bind. Queen e5, knight d6. Positional bind. He tries rook b8, preparing this. Yeah, Najjar is seriously a brilliant defender. The fact that he drew this game, it's amazing, because you have a knight on d6, it's blocking everything. But yeah, I guess the bishop pair counts for something, maybe. Yeah, so he plays c3, no more of this stuff, just solidifying, also gaining control of d4. Bishop h6, preparing some of these ideas. He blocks that immediately with g3, and even gains some space with f4. Goes queen d3. Okay, and now the only improvement I could find, basically, because here you'll see from the game basically goes like white has a good advantage, and suddenly black starts playing really accurately, and suddenly the advantage is dropping for no good reason, and it's just a draw. It's one of those games where both sides really played well, and the position is kind of, it's not really simplified, but the character of the position, it's like, how to call it, it's so easy to get simplified. It's not a simplified position, but the character of the position, the way the pieces are set up, it's such that, you know, not trades are likely to occur, but simplification in some form or another, maybe into an opposite colored bishop endgame, as happened in this game, it's likely to occur. So yeah, that's what happened. Here actually, you should give away your prized knight on b7, on d6, and play this position. Yeah, okay, it's difficult to wrap your head around this. Of course, this was supported by engine analysis. I thought about it briefly on my own for other reasons, but yeah, the engine just wants to play this, put the rook here, and make this bishop seem silly. Maybe even at some point playing f5. Now that would not be a good idea because of this, but maybe f5 can shut out the bishop completely. Then again, maybe bishop h6, bishop e3 check. So yeah, some f5 at some point can be an idea, but not always. Yeah, but this is very difficult to see, and I don't blame Najjar for not seeing it, for Assis for not seeing it. So he plays queen d3, and slowly you can see that this knight d8 is a brilliant move actually. He kind of is able to play knight b7 and trade off the knights. Yeah, don't ask me how. White seems to be doing everything well, and then suddenly his position is not winning anymore. All of these moves are sensible, right? I really couldn't find some flagrant improvements. The only flagrant improvement I could find was knight takes b7. But it's a counterintuitive move, and even then the game isn't clearly won or anything. But yeah, somehow Najjar keeps defending ever so slightly, ever so slowly. He gets some counterplay on the queen side, gets rook b6 in, maybe this some discoveries over here. That is taken, and now it's just an opposite colored bishop position, and this is a complete draw. So from that very interesting position, somehow maybe pushing this f4, maybe this led to two forcing type of play that will lead to a draw. I don't know what this is. I don't know how Najjar defended this. It's brilliant play, but yeah, it's a bit tragic to be honest for Antoine. By the way, in last year's championship, I was wrong actually. I said Antoine started off with 10 out of 10, but he started off with 9.5 out of 10. The only guy to draw him was Najjar. They played also this hyperaccelerated dragon, a different line though, and Najjar was able, he was down 2 pawns or 1 pawn. I think it was 2. And he was again able to draw thanks to this opposite colored bishop situation. Antoine had this bishop while Najjar had this strong bishop, and he was able to draw. So yeah, this seems to be like a running theme, huh? 2019 and 2020, the same thing happened. It's crazy, but absolutely kudos to Najjar. Very, very high regards to Najjar. It's amazing how he defended this. And yeah, that's it for the 6th round. I'll offer brief summaries of the games as we look at the engine evaluations because Dr. 1000 IQ asked me to. So let's see the engine evaluations. So this is the Dr. 1000 IQ game. Yeah, okay, actually maybe I can fix it a bit. Yeah. So this is the Dr. 1000 IQ game. Akram against Eid. And then we have Joe against Salman. You can see this dip here from Joe because he could have taken on g2, and then Salman had some chances to defend, but then Joe took over. Antoine, you can see he had this advantage and slowly it dissipates, and these peaks are really nothing. This was just a draw here, and yeah, this is a draw. Only thing here, he had some form of an advantage. And Masarani, yeah, he always had a slight pull at several points with more active moves. He did not play them, and then the tactic occurred. He lost a pawn, and the weird tactic, right? One of the craziest tactics I've seen. And Habash against Tariq, crazy game. Actually, I'm surprised the graph is only like that. It was like but yeah. And Sayer against Samir, yeah, black just took over. White had one chance with knight b3, if you guys remember. I don't know if it's showing. Yeah, he had knight b3 here, but apart from that, Samir took over. Here Samir could have taken as well, but I told you guys it's not very human, and I myself would not have played it. And yeah, so that's it for the graphs. I have the timestamps in the vid, and oh yeah, one more thing, we have the standings. Okay, I'll delete this later. We have the standings over here. Let me make it better. Yeah, so these are the standings, guys. Yeah, so Joe and Akram, our chess warriors, off to a good start. Let's hope they can continue this. We have the round that's being played today. The games are still going on. I can show you the pairings and the results. So round 4, Akram is facing off against Samer. Oh, I need to, yeah. Okay, Akram is facing off against Samer. Tariq against Sayigh, that's quite interesting. Abdelaziz against Habash. Najjar against Masarani, 2 very solid players as well. Joe against Assis. Let's see what Joe will do today. Hopefully he'll be able to get an upset victory. And Wissam against Silman. This I think will be very important for Wissam because Silman plays a rather quiet opening as well. So maybe a chance for Wissam to get back a bit in the tournament. Alright guys, so I hope you got something out of this video. Take care.